All right, everybody. Hello and welcome to our webinar. My name's Scott Garber. Super excited to be here today and unpack all the exciting things around virtual coaching and adopting the new normal. I'm going to be hosting today's webinar with my man, Todd Grant. Todd, how you doing today?
Great, Scott. Great to be here. Hello, everyone. Thanks for joining.
We are excited, Todd. Well, let's go ahead. Let's get right into it. Let's let everybody know what to expect and give them a little background about us. So before we begin, guys, this is going to be a very interactive session. So we want you to take notes. We're going to cover a lot of ground today. Feel free to go ahead, drop questions in the Q&A, and we'll make sure to either get it on the screen and address today, or we'll follow up with you after to make sure that that you're taken care of. So without further ado, Todd, let's go ahead and let everybody know who you are and how you got wrapped up in this space.
Yeah, super excited to be part of MaxOne, bringing virtual coaching platform and tools, including a mobile app, into the youth sports market. My background is for the last 10 years, I've been bringing innovations in the form of digital tools to youth sports programs. Some of the audience may have heard of my last startup called Squad Locker. I was president and CRO at Squad Locker, bringing a suite of digital tools to help youth sports programs manage their purchasing of decorated apparel. Moved on from that and right into MaxOne, and it's exciting because similarly, we're bringing innovations to help coaches deliver value to athletes and members in their community.
Ooh, and I couldn't think of anybody better to host this webinar with. You guys are pioneering this space, so really excited to get into the conversation. Before we do, a little background about myself. My name's Scott Garber. I'm the Director of Media Relations and PlayyOn Nation at PlayyOn. I come to you guys as a former Division I football player, actually fortunate enough to start the program at the University of South Alabama, and have been in the sports tech scene for the last 7 years. So really covered the spectrum, and man, I didn't even know virtual coaching was a thing until about a year ago. So you guys are in for a treat. So Todd, just to give everybody a little context, and then we're going to get right to the meat and potatoes. Guys, we're going to cover sort of the accelerating athlete development, which is our mission here at PlayyOn. We're going to cover how the virtual coaching is being used in the youth space, some best practices, and then how you can absorb this with a big announcement from PlayyOn here at the end for your organization. So Todd, let's jump right into this. Let's talk about the state of virtual coaching in youth sports. How have you guys been observing this both pre-pandemic and now, as we're absorbing this pandemic?
Yeah, fascinating times. With a lot of humility and empathy, I say that the last 12 months have been a catalyst for virtual coaching and adoption of a platform such as ours. That said, virtual coaching platforms have been around for about 5 years. There's been early adopters, there've been progressive innovators and visionaries in the space that have been using tools such as what we're going to educate about, the audience about today, Scott. But in the last year, it's been really fascinating to watch fast adoption of virtual coaching platforms. This survey, led by a technology provider in the space, available on MaxOne's website, surveyed 450 youth sports programs, and 60% responded back that they were adopting robust virtual coaching platforms and deploying virtual coaching to their member community. Really amazing to watch a transformation of an entire sector of tens of thousands of youth sports programs. Interestingly, though, most of the programs adopting virtual coaching tools were using tools that were readily available to them from the tools that the program was already using or the tools that someone might have been using in their business world. 60% of those adopting virtual coaching said that they were using Zoom. They were using other meeting platforms. 30% said social media channels, and 10% said we're just sticking with traditional communications such as email. The takeaway from this, Scott, is that there's a tremendous opportunity for improvement for programs to supplement and enhance the work that they're doing in person with their programs, to use best-in-class virtual coaching platforms available in the marketplace to do far more as far as value delivery for their communities than these programs that I've just mentioned.
Yeah, 100%. And if you're a part of the PlayyOn community and ecosystem, you know that these tools are already being made available, from our spiritware to the registration platform. So really excited to go ahead later in the webinar and announce what we're doing with MaxOne. But Todd, before we go ahead and actually get to that, let's go ahead and talk about this adoption of it, right? We know that it was happening over the last 5 years. What has the pandemic done with this, adoption rate over the last 12 months?
Words like jumpstart and catalyst come to mind. There's a transformation that's taking place. Generally speaking, the hundreds of programs that we're talking to have said digital was on our mind. A mobile first strategy was on our mind. We're not going back to the way that we used to run our program. We're going to be a three-pronged approach to supporting our community and delivering coaching in these three ways. In person, obviously. In person is the best way to coach. That's never going to go away. You know that as a former D1 athlete, Scott. But to supplement in-person coaching, deliver content to your athlete's phone to be relevant to them. Deliver programming on a calendar to supplement and enhance the work that you're doing in person. And then thirdly, the third leg of the tripod is live virtual two-way interactive classes that are far more sophisticated and advanced for coaching than Zoom is. Those tools are available today, and we're going to talk about those two aspects of virtual coaching platforms.
Yeah, and I can't wait to unpack that, right? Because, my next question was really like, how effective are these traditional tools, right? Like, we know Zoom, we know WebEx, we know some of, the live streams through Facebook. And Todd, I can't imagine as a punter those being super effective, but what has been your experience with them?
I'd use the word adequate. Programs have gotten by. They had to follow their path of least resistance, and the entire sector has been supporting their communities in the best way that they've been able to. There's a mission to serve athletes and families, and given this time of uncertainty, they've gravitated towards tools that were easy to use and easy to adopt. That being said, these tools that were easy to adopt don't have things like the ability to define workouts and to deliver them to the athlete's phone to be relevant via a mobile app. They don't have the ability to achieve engagement and accountability at a level that a robust virtual coaching platform can. They don't have the ability to go two-way interactive live in a virtual environment. Think of Zoom as one-to-many broadcast, but there are live class tools that allow the coach to be really hands-on, so to speak, and allow that athlete to video themselves, for that coach to still shot, slow-mo replay, draw on that athlete in the interactive environment of a live two-way interactive class as part of a comprehensive virtual coaching platform and the workflows that are embedded in it and available today.
Yeah. It's like you said, adequate, I think, is a great word. And we didn't know what we didn't know, but we also couldn't anticipate that a pandemic was going to completely shut down sports, that we were going to be forced into adopting these technologies. And then, as we start to reopen, what that hybrid looks like. So, before we get into the exciting use cases of how our organizers here at PlayyOn can take advantage, what are some of the common problems that you're hearing through, talking to many organizations that they experience in this virtual world?
Yeah, great segue into this slide. We hear a lot of things, but they're all thematically kind of packaged into, about 6 or 8 problems. Six are exposed here on the screen. We want more engagement between coaches and athletes. How do we achieve that using digital tools? That's a common problem. That leads to, how do we know what our athletes are doing when they're not with us in person? That's the accountability issue. We hear about content. How do I organize my content that might be in Google Drive or hanging on YouTube? How do I take that content, structure and package it so it's meaningful to my athletes in my community so that they're getting the most from us when they're not with us in person? We hear about live virtual classes and Zoom, not being all that great for running coaching through a Zoom call. But there are technologies now that address all of these problems, and we're going to talk about some of those technologies as part of this exciting announcement by PlayyOn today that you'll get to in a few minutes.
Oh, it's so cool, right? And we're dangling the carrot, Todd, and that's what this is all about, right? So we sort of teed this up and lined it up with this idea of, hey, there's got to be better ways to go ahead and administer coaching in a virtual sense. So you've heard us talk about a VCP. Todd, why don't you go ahead and just, for once and for all, lay the foundation on what a virtual coaching platform is, and then we'll go ahead and start to uncover different ways to implement it into their organizations.
This is a new sector of software. It's been around for about 5 years, as I mentioned. VCP, the acronym for Virtual Coaching Platform, is a new sector of software that's being broadly adopted now by youth sports programs. Let me state emphatically, virtual coaching platforms do not replace in-person coaching. In-person coaching is never going to go away. Virtual coaching platforms supplement and enhance the work that coaches are doing hands-on with their athletes. What a VCP is? A VCP is a technology platform that allows program administrators and coaches to organize content and deliver it through a mobile app to athletes and their families. As simply put as that, it's a technological way, it's a digital means to have more engagement and accountability through your program, delivering coaching to your athletes' phones.
Super cool. Super cool. Now, Todd, I'm going to put my organizer hat on here, okay? Because going through this, even before COVID, I wasn't creating a lot of content and my coaches weren't creating a lot of content. So I'm curious, walk us through the different iterations of this platform of if you have content, if you're brand new and you don't have content, can you still take advantage of something in the virtual coaching world?
Yeah, think about the core differentiator of a VCP is building virtual workouts. If a program has content, we can build out an instance through the virtual coaching platform to allow that program to leverage only their own content. It can be a self-contained system, and it could be only their coaches delivering information to their athletes. However, a lot of programs don't have content, and we can bring content in through a content marketplace available through the MaxOne VCP. Content or no content, it shouldn't be a non-starter to get started. Get started with a virtual coaching platform, build virtual workouts that reinforce and enhance the work that you're doing in person with your athletes.
So if I'm understanding this correctly, let's say there's a training library, right? And that's exactly where I was going. Now, do I have control as the coach or the organizer as to what practice films I'm able to bring in and to distribute? Or how do we make sure that the right film is getting to the right athlete at the right time?
Yeah, there's a couple of ways I want to answer that question, Scott. Great question. Think of one element of the virtual coaching platform as organizing content. Whether you bring in your own content, you grab links from Vimeo or YouTube, or you access the MaxOne content marketplace, either way, you're going to have a lot of content in your VCP to make available to your program. Content gets stored and organized in 4 different training libraries. There's a skills and drills library, typically short form video focused on performance improvement. There's a strength and conditioning library. If you're a program that wants to deliver dry land conditioning or weight room activities to your players to supplement performance improvement activities, there's a library just for strength and conditioning. Thirdly, there's an education library. Just think of all those materials that great coaches want to deliver to athletes who are young adults going through those teenage years. It's just not all about play and practice on the field. It's about mentoring and inspiring young adults. I know that's a mission for PlayyOn, and that's a very exciting part of the virtual coaching platform you're bringing to market. Fourthly, there's a coach's resource library. It was one of the problems on the problem slide I didn't touch on, but a lot of programs want to top grade their coaches. Coaching standards and condition and consistency and methodologies, all available to the coaches within the program as part of these training libraries. Put the right content in the right place, organize it, deliver it to the right athlete on the team. It can be one-to-one between coach and an athlete, or it can be one-to-many, a coach to all of the U14s, U12s, U10s, or it can be by position. I know that we've spoken offline, Scott, about wouldn't it be great if the special teams positions on the football team received different training and information than the quarterbacks, than the linemen. It's the right coaching information to the right athlete at the right time.
And you know, one of the things at PlayyOn that we pride ourselves on is the simplicity, the ease of use. And that's exactly what you're getting here. And, you know, it's so funny because I got to call out for all my specialists. We're people too, kickers, punters, long snappers. But Todd, you hit the nail on the head. As I was coming up, we were getting the same workouts as the linemen, right? Because there wasn't a quick, efficient way to go ahead and distribute and parse out individualized workouts. Talk to us about how in the VCP we're able to go ahead and do that to make sure the athletes get the proper training.
Yeah, it's a very open user hierarchy that's very flexible. If a youth sports program wants to organize by age level, competitive level, or position, we create training groups within the virtual coaching platform so the coaches can deliver the right information to the right groups of athletes. The platform here, as you mentioned, is super easy to use. It's a framework. It has all the workflows, all the tools. It's very intuitive. Take content, pull those content pieces together, perhaps short form videos, create daily workouts, string daily workouts together into multi-week, multi-month programs on the player's phone. Their phone's in their pocket 10 hours a day, probably more. Become relevant. Get your coaching information into the daily lives of your athletes to supplement the work that you're doing in person with them.
Oh yeah. And now you're going to be living on their phone more and more. And, you know, what's the best way to keep them off, you know, TikTok, Instagram, and lean into that competitive is by creating a leaderboard and actually gamifying this, right? So not only are you able to go ahead and as a coach get access to how your athletes are performing, but it really, you know, it creates a competition within the team. And so Todd, talk to us about how teams have, you know, been adopting this leaderboard and, you know, what that's like for a team dynamic.
Yeah, it's awesome for healthy competition. You mentioned the word athletes like to compete even amongst themselves on their team. It's healthy. It drives team unity. It ultimately drives work ethic and performance. This goes back to the problem slide where I mentioned that coaches tell us all the time that they'd like to know more about what their athletes are doing to do the work when they're not with them in person. Well, assign them the work. The platform is a 360-degree loop of information. Player gets assigned the virtual workout. The player completes the workout. They mark done and next. It shows up on performance dashboards for the coach and the program administrator. The player has their own personal performance dashboard as seen on the phone image here on the right of this slide. And then every player on the team shows up on the team-wide leaderboard to see who's doing the work, who's leading the team. And a lot of programs are using this for extra incentives and rewards back to the players for being those that are kind of leading the charge amongst their teammates.
And it's only going to make you better when you transition from off season to in season. And we're going to touch on the different ways that we can use this. But Todd, I think this is, you know, no time like the present to go ahead and announce that MaxOne and PlayyOn have partnered up to present to all of our members PlayyOn TRAIN. So all of the things that we are just talking about, you are now going to have access to underneath the PlayyOn umbrella. It is a turnkey solution for your organization to go ahead and adopt this forward-facing virtual coaching platform called PlayyOn TRAIN. So Todd, now that the cat's out of the bag, let's go ahead and let our organizers and coaches know how they can use this tool both in season, in the off season, and really get those ideas spinning.
I don't want to let anyone get away with saying we're back playing in person again. We don't need a VCP. That's not true. Virtual coaching platforms supplement the work that's being done in person. But before I get to the in-season and off-season use cases, thanks very much for partnering with MaxOne. We're bringing PlayyOn TRAIN to the market together, to the entire PlayyOn Nation, and it's going to be awesome. Thanks for working with us, Scott.
Likewise, and just I have to say this on behalf of PlayyOn. You guys know the level of excellence that we bring in through our gear store, through our registration. You guys will get that same experience when you engage with MaxOne, our partner, and launch your virtual coaching platform. So very excited to partner with you as well, guys. And this is going to really change the landscape as we move forward in this, you know, technology hybrid sports lane. So really big things on the horizon.
Yeah, awesome. Thanks so much. We're going to be supportive and helpful to every PlayyOn customer in your community. We're going to guide your programs and organizers and leagues and teams to understand that in season, you can define workouts delivered to a player's phone to supplement the work that you're doing in person. If you're meeting Tuesday, Thursday, send workouts Monday, Wednesday, Friday, reinforcing the work that you're doing in person. It's just a reminder. It's jumpstart content leading up to a practice. It's reminder and reinforcing content after a practice occurs. What's going to be better than that player getting a push notification on their phone after dinner with some cool videos that they can think about and work on that just occurred at practice that afternoon? Off season, some of these are somewhat obvious, a strength and conditioning program in between fall and spring season. Skills and drills as that player is graduating from U12 to U14. Scott, as these young athletes are going from aspiring to elite and across that arc, it becomes more competitive. The routines and the drills become more finite and more challenging along the way. So, deliver that content to those players before that season starts, so they know what the expectation is for them as that season begins.
Right.
There's just a lot of different uses. I named a few.
And everything that we talk about here at PlayyOn is let's win together. And that all starts with preparation, right? And so today we talk so much about how the virtual coaching platform is preparing athletes across all 365 days. But I want to touch on this live interactive coaching that we have within PlayyOn TRAIN as well, right? Because we never would have thought about a pandemic, but I think it's imperative that organizations start becoming prepared in case we end up in a virtual sense and we want to still communicate with our athletes. Todd, touch a little bit on this interactive coaching that's available through PlayyOn TRAIN.
Yeah, I want to say there's a lot of uncertainty for sure, but I want to say again something that I said earlier in the presentation. I think that there's a tripod to coaching these days. There's in person, there's live interactive classes which are virtual, and there's virtual content and programming that can be delivered on a calendar and on a schedule. So those are the three formats of coaching that holistically round out a coach interacting with an athlete and having the highest engagement possible to be part of that athlete's daily life. Make coaching part of their daily life. Live interactive coaching and the tools within the PlayyOn TRAIN app allow for a coach to spotlight an athlete, for that athlete to share a video during the call, for the coach to still shot, slow-mo replay, draw lines, annotate, telestrate on the video within the call. Zoom doesn't do that. Zoom's good for certain things, as we've mentioned, one-to-many broadcast. The Uplift product integrated within the PlayyOn TRAIN and the MaxOne application is by far the most robust live interactive two-way coaching tool available in the market today.
Todd, I joke, but maybe not. If I had this tool when I was punting, I might have made it to the league. I don't know. This is next level to have it right there on your phone, your iPad. You don't have to be in the meeting room all the time. This opens Pandora's box for opportunities. Why don't you go ahead and tell us how a couple of the programs that have already adopted virtual coaching are implementing them and finding success?
Yeah, maybe you were just a few years too early. but there's, you still look young, Scott. You're like, there's a chance. Here we go. One high school football program, Coach Terry Wilson utilized MaxOne's virtual coaching platform to get rid of the index cards. He was handing out cards and assigning workouts in the weight room to his players. And he shared those cards were all over the place. And the work wasn't getting done on the structure and the calendar that he had assigned it. So he leaned on our technology to organize a calendar of content, curricula, if you will, assigning workouts to the right players on the team, different workout regimens based on position. He required those players to do the work, report back. He saw a dashboard of who was doing the work, and then all the players' work was exposed on a leaderboard, such as what we talked about previously, for accountability, time savings, digital connectivity between strength and conditioning coaches and the players. And in some small part, we feel like we helped coach, make it all the way to a state championship during the year that he adopted our technology.
Right on. And look at that leaderboard. I want to call that out real quick. We saw it from the athlete's lens, but I mean, just imagine being Eric Jackson in that scenario, almost 300 points or 400 points behind the leader. Just think about how that would spark your team, right? It would make them work harder, chasing that top, which would ultimately deliver a state championship. Really, really cool example. Let's drill into someone, a lacrosse program, I think that we're going to talk about next, that's doing some next level stuff with the whole organization.
Yeah, here's an example of a program that's relevant to PlayyOn Nation. 150 player club travel lacrosse program in Connecticut. They actually decided to rebrand our virtual coaching platform to have their own branded mobile app in Google Play and the App Store. So that's available to all of PlayyOn's customers as well. They took their branded version of VCP and they make it elemental. As players register for their program, those players and their families are invited to download their Shoreline Lacrosse app. They start to get content right out of the gate. They're supplementing the work that they're doing in person with content being delivered to the players' phones. It's creating engagement and accountability at a level that the program has never experienced before. And this program administrator tells us he's differentiated himself from the other clubs in his region such that he's acquiring more members faster. That's growing his revenues and he's growing his community. It's exciting for him and for us.
New tools, right? It's all about new tools, showing up different. Todd, there's probably a lot of folks listening right now that says, hey, this sounds too good to be true because my organization runs on a shoestring budget and we probably can't afford this. Let's talk about this idea of cost neutrality or even turning this into a revenue engine, just to sort of plant that seed in some of these organizers' mind.
Yeah, first off, let me share, because it's a reasonable ask for everyone on the call to know how much a virtual coaching platform costs. It's very, very inexpensive as compared to the value that it delivers. $15 per player per year. Adopt virtual coaching tools through PlayyOn TRAIN, and the cost to your program is just over $1 per month per player. 100 players in your program, $15 per year. The cost for the yearly license is $1,500, but that can be offset very easily. Programs are taking the launch of a virtual coaching platform and going cost neutral very easily by increasing registration fees by $15. We're at a time right now where we're just coming off of a couple of seasons of refunds and a lot of pressure and uncertainty, but there's opportunities for delivering value to not only your members and or audiences outside of your own membership to provide subscriptions to content, subscriptions to coaching, subscriptions to live virtual classes. And many programs are taking themselves global through the content and repurposing of their coaching programming and making it more broadly available than just their membership audience. So those are two ways to make money when launching a virtual coaching platform, Scott.
Yeah, no, it's really exciting to hear, right? And for someone who was in the specialist lane for a long time, think about what one lesson cost, right? If you were a soccer player, a punter, a basketball, I mean, we're paying $100 for a half an hour to try and get this. So it's really just to put in perspective there. When Todd says the amount of value, it's incredible once you get behind the curtain and see the robust libraries. There's no excuse how we can't offset that, at least for the value it's providing. So really cool now. Now let's flip the switch, right? So cost neutrality is awesome. We want to make money if we can, right? So talk to us how we can do that with PlayyOn TRAIN.
Yeah, the pass-through cost for the launch of VCP is $15. If you wanted to charge more to your community of members, create program, create live classes, create content kits. Parents and families are committed to the performance improvement of their son and daughter athletes. There's revenue opportunities here. I'd be thrilled to talk to any administrator of a youth sports program, collaborate, learn about their program, learn about their members, to see if consultatively we can help them not only adopt VCP, but make money at the same time as adopting it. That's one way. We talked about the subscription model. We have lots of customers now that are not only supporting their own members, but they're expanding their audiences and their connection to players, around the globe, really, by packaging up content and their coaching information and wrapping a subscription business model around it. It's super exciting. I'd be thrilled to talk to anyone in PlayyOn Nation about these concepts.
Take advantage of it. This is ultimately how we win together, is leaning on trusted resources to help elevate us, right? Think of, we're climbing the mountain and Todd's our Sherpa. He's bringing us there. And he's been there before. So, I know we've powered through a lot of content here. Todd, before we wrap up, want to bring Luke on. I know there's a couple questions that have been popping in and out as we've been moving through the slides. Luke, any questions top of mind that stick out that we want to address today?
Yeah, thanks. So one I've gotten a couple times is, how is PlayyOn TRAIN different than MaxOne's virtual coaching platform?
Yeah, great question. Thanks, Luke, and thanks to the audience. All we've done is put a brand wrapper around MaxOne's very robust virtual coaching platform. So you can think of PlayyOn TRAIN as a branded version of MaxOne. It's powered by MaxOne's technology. It's often referred to as a white label. It's the same technology, the same workflows, the same best-in-class approaches to virtual coaching within the app. Programs that sign on to utilize PlayyOn TRAIN gain access to a web application for program administrators and coaches, and a mobile app that they can invite their players and families to download and start receiving content digitally directly to the phone.
Awesome. And for all the PlayyOn members that are listening to this, there is a new modal that is live within PlayyOn. Simply click on that. You'll be able to go ahead and schedule some time with a MaxOne representative. And that's what's going to kick off and really, introduce virtual coaching and PlayyOn TRAIN into your organization. So you're literally one click away from opening Pandora's box here. Great question, Luke. Todd, appreciate the context there. Any other questions, Luke, that were coming through that we want to address before we wrap up today?
Yeah, one more here is, how would a program get started if they wanted to?
Yeah, there's a link to sign up right on this slide that's being exposed. Sign up for a call. That link will allow you to hit a calendar, get instantly connected to one of my colleagues at MaxOne. We'll start talking to you about PlayyOn TRAIN and all the ins and outs of launching virtual coaching in a way that benefits your program and your entire membership. We'd love to learn from you, during those calls. At the same time, we'll probably ask a lot of questions, apologize in advance, but we want to learn about you too. And once you sign on, Luke actually runs MaxOne's customer success team. He or one of his colleagues will be assigned to help you load content or access content that we can make available in every sport to get you up and running quickly, show you how to load coaches, organize the users in your platform, invite your athletes and families to download the mobile app. This is not like something you buy from us and you lose connection for all time from us. We will support you and help you deliver value to your community once you get started.
They're part of the family, guys. So, you lean on them, and that's a representation of us. And, this is so exciting. Todd, thank you again for coming on, just being a wealth of knowledge and really rising the tide here and elevating all the boats in this harbor to really just be relevant and forward facing as we go and re-enter back into sport here. So, Luke, thanks so much for coming on, answering and fielding some questions. Todd, let's wrap this thing up. So, last thoughts as we're leaving our organizers, coaches, players who attended today's events.
Yeah, so excited for us to become part of PlayyOn Nation and to start interacting with your ecosystem. It's super exciting. It's a lot of innovation. The world's going digital. The world's going mobile first. We can help your program get there. Allow us a little peek into your organization, share some information with us, and we'll collaborate. We'll roll up sleeves and figure out how to build value for your membership.
Amazing. And from PlayyOn again to the MaxOne team for helping us put this together. Really excited to launch with you guys. For everyone listening, the future is now. Let's lean into this technology and all embrace it, and together we will win. So thank you guys again for coming on, and we will look forward to getting you integrated with PlayyOn TRAIN here in the future.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Scott.